We are coming to you from Comerica Park in Detroit, where this afternoon, WGN Sports presents White Sox baseball. Jose Abreu, Melky Cabrera, Avi Garcia, and the Sox as they get set to butt heads with Miguel Cabrera, Victor Martinez, Ian Kinsler, and the Detroit Tigers. Hi, everybody, and welcome. I'm Ken Harrelson with Steve Stone as we get set to bring you the finale of this rain-abbreviated four-game series, and this will be the rubber match. We won the opener on Thursday by a score of 8-7 in 10 innings. Very exciting ball game. Then we lost on Friday 5-4. Bullpen just didn't get it done. But a positive thing on that Friday game was good defense.
I love the defense because it looked a whole lot springier. It looked like they were sharp all the way around, and Alexei Ramirez starts it off with a 360 spin and then a bullet of a throw. Adam Eaton with a good play in center field. Then, of course, the double play, which gets you out of the inning, before a more conventional double play, which gets you out of the inning. Also, the long ball in evidence. Adam Eaton, for the second time in 2 games, led it off with a home run. Jose Abreu crushed that ball to left center field before Tyler Flowers took this one just inside the pole and right. So with the long ball in attendance and the defense getting a whole lot better, perhaps today against David Price, things will work out. And
we've got Jeff Samardzija, so a good pitching matchup.
It's really a good matchup for 2 guys who lately have been throwing the ball very well. You look at the last 6 starts for David Price. He's 4-1, his ERA 1.22. Opponents hitting just 2.30. Jeff Samardzija, the last 3 starts, 1-0, 3-point ERA in 21 innings. Opponents hitting 304, which is a high number. But these 2 guys hooked up earlier in the season. And when they did it, it was a standstill. Now, the one guy he's got to worry about is J.D. Martinez, who everybody's worried about because he's hit 9 home runs in his last 12 games, including the game winner on Friday. That was off Jeff Samardzija, so he liked what he saw against him. But bear in mind, these 2 guys will bring out the best in one another. And they both went 8 innings when they went head-to-head. Both got no decisions. There wasn't a whole lot to choose from between the 2. Hopefully today, the Shark will come out on top.
All right, it's a rubber match, series finale. So sit back, relax, and strap it down because White Sox baseball coming your way. Chicago White Sox baseball is brought to you by Miller Lite, the original light Pilsner. Cheers, it's Miller time. Honda Dream Garage Sales Event, now at your Honda dealer. Subway, make a smart play for savory subs this season. Score more flavor at Subway restaurants. Subway, eat fresh. Ford, America's best-selling brand, inviting you to go further in our fuel-efficient vehicles. Check out our entire lineup at your Ford store or at localfordstores.com. And by your Chicago and Northwest Indiana Hyundai dealers, who invite you to test drive our award-winning lineup today. Visit buyhyundai.com.
home for the most live sports, and there's a number 2 hitter. And there he is, Jose Abreu, hitting in the 2 spot. And yesterday, Robin Ventura talked about the move to the 2nd spot in the batting order.
You know, for us against lefties, we've had tough go left-handed wise, and you just shuffling it up enough to move him up and give him another opportunity if it's there. And you know, I think with a lineup, you tend to shuffle and find something that works. And this just looks like a good move right now to be able to get him up there and, you know, something to shuffle the deck.
Is this a one-time thing, or you see how the results go, or do you like him?
Let's see how the results go. But I like having him bat that many times. Definitely, I like him to be up there. And I think sometimes you can look at, you know, maybe the past of how many times guys come up with guys on, and it just seems to be that 2-hole for us has always been a rough spot. And, you know, with us facing lefties, we have enough righties to be able to, you know, fill in the rest of the spots. So you just move them up and give them more opportunities.
Let's take a look at how Robin's going to line up our Sox for the game this afternoon. Adam Eaton leading it off, looking for his 3rd home run leading off in as many games, with Jose Abreu, the DH, in the 2 spot. Then it's Avi Garcia, Melky Cabrera, Adam LaRoche on a 5-game hitting streak with Alexi Ramirez, Gordon Beckham, Giovanni Soto, and Emilio Bonifacio. The defense and how they'll line up behind David Price, left to right. It's Cespedes, Gose, and Martinez in the outfield, with Castellanos, Iglesias, Kinsler, and Cabrera in the infield. James McCann behind the plate once again. And there's a look at David Price on the hill, and he's one of the better pitchers in all of baseball. He's 7-2, his ERA 2.42. Opponent's hitting just 2.43, which is a very strong number. 95 strikeouts, 21 walks, and Price is going to be the most coveted of free agents when this season is over. The umpires for the game this afternoon: Jeff Kellogg is behind the plate, Brian O'Nora is at first, Alan Porter's at 2nd, and Mark Ripperger is at 3rd. When Robin talked about the number 2 spot and the ability or inability to deal with the left-handed starters, Sox are 4-9 when a left-hander takes the mound to start the game. David Price, one of the better ones, and Robin is doing whatever he can to shake things up. So they've thrown the ball around the infield. We're ready to play baseball. I'm ready to turn it over to my play-by-play partner, Ken Harrelson.
All right, Steve, thank you. And once again, good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to White Sox baseball right here over WGN Sports. So happy you could join us for the finale of this rain-abbreviated 4-game set. Before we show you our picks to click, you at home select yours, as the big 6'6" southpaw's first pitch taken up high. Adam comes in hitting at 252, 5 homers, 14 knocked in. He led off the first 2 games of this series with a home run.
Price has only given up 7 home runs this year in 104 innings. So he doesn't walk a lot of people. He strikes out a whole lot of them and keeps the ball in the ballpark by and large.
Outfield swung well around to the left. And with David's success in that abbreviated windup, he's changed a lot of other pitchers. A lot of other pitchers are going to that.
Simplicity. Try to make it as simple as possible. Not a whole lot of moving parts, and you'll find you can repeat your release point consistently.
That ball hit to the wrong man. He's as good as it gets at that position. 1 out. Well, you're telling me that Vinegar Ben Mizell was not simplistic?
No. Ted Lyons probably wasn't as simplistic as he would have liked.
Vinegar Ben Mizell.
They did pretty well.
Pitched for the Yankees. He had one of the biggest windups you ever want to see. A leg kick up over his head.
They had, well, you know, in those days, everybody had that big arm swing and big leg kick, and those days are gone.
Yeah, they are. As here is Abreu. Jose in a 2-hole. Hitting at 290, 13 homers, 41 knocked in. It's hard to win unless you have a good leadoff hitter. And it's, I'm not going to say as hard, but close to it if you don't have a good 2-hole hitter. And our 2-hole hitters, whoever we put there, whatever Robin's put there this year, have just not done the job.
No, and he's tried just about everybody. Beckham's been there. Ramirez has been there. Gillespie's been there. Now Abreu is there. Garcia's been there. So you're giving everybody an audition for the 2 spot.
Well, you're starting to see managers do things now that should have been done a long time ago, in my opinion. You've heard me talk about it before. Baseball, overall, one of the beauties of the game has been tradition. There's no question about that. But one of the fallacies of the game over the years for a long time, now starting to change, was no change. Etched in stone.
Now we would think that Jose is going to get a fastball. The only thing is, what Price has the ability to do is throw a fastball, but take 3 or 4 miles an hour off it.
Changing speeds. That's the name of the game of pitching. Throwing strikes and changing speeds.
That one fouled off McCann, and that was at 90 miles an hour. So Jose looking for that 94, 95. Didn't get it. Consequently hit the top of the ball, and it got a piece of McCann. Right off the instep of the left foot.
That 2-hole hitter probably has more responsibility. Not probably. Has more responsibilities than any other slot in that lineup. Outfield. Well around to the right. Huge gap in left center. Payoff pitch. That ball was well outside. He just fought it off. Another huge crowd on hand. Had 40,355 on Thursday. Had 38,455 on Friday.
David Price has gone his last 7 games without giving up a run in the first inning. Pretty good streak.
Little weak pop up. Cabrera, 2 down. So with 2 out, let's check out our picks to click. Jim Angio, our director and crew. Well, they went with Alexei. Steve's going with Giovanni and George Jacobs and I. George with Windy City. There he is, sitting in the identical seats he has back home. And we're going to go with Adam Eaton. George, a huge Sox fan. So here's Avi hitting at 266, 7 homers, 27 knocked in. Breaking ball strike. Avi 3 for 8 in the series. Sox come in hitting at 240 as a team with a 4.22 ERA. Avi has faced Price 11 times, has 2 hits, one of which stayed in the park.
David's able to get inside on the right-handers as well as anybody in the league, and that sets up his fastball away, sets up the occasional changeup. You can see gets that ball way in. That's a slider. Or a lot of pitchers will call that a cutter, but it has too much depth, I believe, to be a cutter.
Broken bat, hits the bag, caroms, and now that's a base hit.
As he usually does, Avi hustles down the line because this would have been a terrible break on a ball headed for center field if it bounces right to the shortstop. In this case, Iglesias right there thought about it and then realized that Avi's just too fast, and he's going with everything he's got just in case Kinsler comes up with it.
Each and every time he goes.
Yep.
Whether it's right back to the pitcher or a little pop up to the infield. He's our poster child for busting it down the line. And over the course of a season and a couple of years, few years, that can define an organization. He's one of the cornerstones. Melky out of play right side.
Also, look, it's in every scout's advanced scouting report. They talk about little things, and one of the little things they talk about is the fact that Garcia hustles down the line. They're going to remind their infielders that you got to get rid of the ball quickly. If speed puts pressure on the infield, which it does, then he's going to force some mistakes with guys trying to hurry up where they're normally with other base runners had a lot of time.
That's high in the center field. So we get the infield single. We strand a man after half inning of play. It's our guys nothing and their guys coming to bat.
Kinsler and Cabrera at the top with Victor Martinez, Cespedes, and J.D. Martinez in the middle. Castellanos, McCann, and Iglesias rounded out. The defense and out of the lineup behind Jeff Samardzija. Melky Cabrera, Adam Eaton, and Avisail Garcia with Gordon Beckham, Alexei Ramirez, Emilio Bonifacio, and Adam LaRoche playing defense today at first. Giovanni Soto gets a nod behind the plate, and Jeff Samardzija on the hill. He won his last time out. He's looking for his 6th win of the year. His ERA, little above 4.5, and this is his 16th start.
Anthony Gose will lead it off, hitting at 269, a homer. He's driven in 11. He does have 11 stolen bases and 14 attempts. In the center field, right at him for the most part. One pitch, one out. And here at Comerica Park, 345 down the left field line, 330 down the right field line, 365 in right center, 370 in left center, and 420 dead away center.
Jeff's really on a pretty good run. His last 4 games, he's thrown at least 7. And usually more than that innings.
Kinsler. Beckham with the pick. Nice play. 2 down.
2 pitches, 2 outs. That's not bad. Gordon has started at shortstop, and he started at third base. Got good hands to either side, a good quick first step, so he is a good third baseman.
He's just a terrific defensive player. As here's Cabrera. Had 3 doubles on Friday. Comes in hitting at 354, 15 homers, 53 knocked in. He's 4 for 9 in the series. Tigers with a 276 team average. Three and 0. Victor on deck.
Gale's starting to heat it up, as if he really needs to get too much hotter anyway. That man's presence in the lineup is certainly going to benefit Cabrera.
Yeah, even if he does not put all the numbers that he can up, just his presence. Victor last year, 335, 32 homers, and drove in 103.
That's what Cabrera learned to do a bit more when Victor was not in the lineup, because there's not a whole lot of people going to pitch to him in any key situation without Victor.
Well, if you pitch to him in a game situation, it's insanity.
Well, he's got 49 walks, and that by far and away leads the team, and that's out of respect more than anything else.
And by game situation, I'm talking about the ninth inning when he can beat you. I don't care if the bases are loaded. You get a 2-run lead. For me, he's going to walk. That's just how good he is.
He's getting to the point now where he's really starting to see the ball well. Like with Wally Joyner. He said it's really remarkable what he's done. The scary part about it is he's seeing the ball better now than he's seen it all year. And there's a look at the hitting coach, Wally Joyner, a fine player in his own right. Good defensive first baseman to go with. Pretty solid bat.
Wally was a good hitter, especially in the 7th, 8th, and 9th inning. Way out front on that 91.
Victor, a much better right-hand hitter than a left-hand hitter. 441 right-handed, just 182 left-handed. That's a product of that knee problem that he had. It really affected him swinging the bat from the left side. Didn't seem to affect him very much as a right-hand hitter, but he went on the disabled list anyway.
That one at 83. He was a little further out in front on that 91 than he was on that 83. Yeah, Cabrera is the definitive hitter in this league. I don't know about the other league, but in this league, to not let him beat you. Cues that one off the end of the bat. And I believe Miguel is the first $500 million player in the game.
If he's not going to be, who is?
Into left field. Well, they got a couple that are going to get there. Trout, Bryce Harper. But anyway, after one, no score. Adam LaRoche. Adam, 2 for 9 in the series. Adam has faced Price 12 times, has a couple of hits. They got the big shift on.
What David has added to his repertoire, and he's had it all along, he just didn't use it that much, was the big curveball. Lately he's been throwing more and more of them, and you don't see it a whole lot from him. It surprises you.
Nice little snap by the 6'6" southpaw.
This one looked for a moment like it was going to get over his head. Good timing. It's easy after that.
That'll bring up Alexei. Hitting at .219, a couple of homers, 26 knocked in. Alexei will do that more than any other hitter we have. If the hitter in front of Alexei hits a ground ball and they give it back to the pitcher, he will tell the umpire, please take it out. And I've never seen an umpire refuse him yet.
No, and the strange thing is they will keep a ball in play on a ground out, and yet when a ball just scuffs the dirt, thrown from pitcher to a catcher, they ask for the ball, or the catcher just automatically hands it to the umpire. It's equally as scuffed on a ground ball, maybe more so. Ryan O'Neill says no, he did not go through with that attempted punt.
Back him on deck. Alexei has faced Price a lot. 37 at bats, has 9 hits, all of which stayed in the park. And that will get a piece of McCann.
Reports in the paper today that Alex Avila, their #1 catcher, is about ready to start his rehab. Been on the DL for quite some time. He had some floating chips in his knee. Never a good thing for a catcher.
High. Ghosts.
White Sox fans celebrate the 4th of July holiday from July 3rd through the 5th with food, fireworks, and fun at the ballpark. Get Vienna beef hot dogs for $1. Great seats starting at $20 all weekend. For tickets, visit whitesox.com.
2 down to Gordon Beckham. Gordon 0 for 4 in this series. Comes in at .219, 4 homers and 16 driven in. Big gap in left center.
You can see they're playing him as an off-field hitter, which won't work very well if Price wants to go slider inside, because Gordon will pull that one. He went with it, but it was a huge breaking slider off the plate.
If he hits it, you.
Yeah. Take a look at the movement of this one. By the time Gordon swings like Chris Sale's slider, the ball is actually behind him.
That's the one pitch right-handers have got to try to take away from it. It's just that simple. I mean, you've got to try to take away a left-hander who's got a good slider like Chris Sale or like Price. You've got to try to take it away, and the way you take it away is you back off the plate and beat him arm side, beat him to right field.
Wouldn't be a bad idea, especially if you do back off the plate, realizing that when you see a slider coming, most likely it's not going to be a strike.
Well, that's why you back off. because you can't cover the whole playoff. You can get pitchers. Meanwhile, 1-2-3 inning and no score after an inning and a half. Yoenis Cespedes with J.D. Martinez on deck and Nick Castellanos in the hole. This is a very powerful Tiger lineup. And you put them in a normal sized ballpark and they become extremely powerful.
If they had our ballpark as a home park with the thunder they have in this lineup, they'd be hitting 200 homers.
Well, Miguel Cabrera might hit 400 with 65 or 75 home runs. Well, they have a better road record than they do home record. Cespedes, 304, 10 homers and 42 knocked in. High now. Adam. It's very tough unless you got a cloud cover in the back when you look up in this ballpark.
Well, it is bright sunshine today. It was 69 degrees at game time, and there's a lot of very puffy clouds,
which makes it easier.
Yes.
Yeah. So here is the hot stick right here. J.D. Martinez. He has homered in 3 straight games, and as Steve told you earlier, 9 in the last 12.
And with 19 driven in the last 12 games, it's a pretty impressive run.
Well, he's figured it out to a degree. And he's playing in a great lineup to help him figure it out by watching Cabrera hit.
Well, he knows he doesn't have to be the man here. He's going to be a man. They're not asking him to carry the club. That probably works well into what kind of hitter he is. Last 17 games, hitting .324 with 10 home runs and 24 runs driven in. He really extends that lineup and where they can do damage.
So they've got you some run production, certainly in the middle, certainly down below, and certainly up top, all over the place. Talking with one of our pitchers after the game the other night. He looks at me and he goes, "Man, those guys can hit."
Not much fun to face his lineup, whether you're a lefty or a righty, because they platooned Ghost and Rajai Davis in center field. And where Ghost might be a touch better defensively, because he has a better arm, I think Rajai Davis, from an offensive standpoint, will beat you more often.
And Ghost is faster than Rajai, too.
He is.
He gone. Gas at 96.
Good spot for it. It was up and out of the zone, and that's where you have to go get Martinez. I'm going to throw him down too often, and Jeff, if it hit the zone at all, it just ticked it. But it was too inviting to lay off.
Well, that's where you got to get this guy, too. He has 4 hits in this series, 4 for 7, and all of them been from the thigh down. He is a definite, much better low ball hitter than from the belt up. Goes after the first pitch. Nice, quick. 1-2-3 inning. And we're into the third, no score.
As we celebrate Polish heritage at U.S. Cellular Field. The White Sox are offering specially priced tickets to the Polish community and their friends. First 750 people to purchase will also receive a Polish night hat. To purchase, visit whitesox.com/PHN.
Here's Giovanni Soto. Giovanni hitting at .228, 4 homers, 13 knocked in, and he put on some kind of exhibition in batting practice.
Well, there's no doubt that he's strong. He's also pretty much of a pull hitter, which makes this defense somewhat surprising. Ghost is over in the right center field and shallow.
Yes, sir. He put some kind of showtime. Big gap in left center. And the 2-0 pitch. Bad call. Well, maybe just on the outside edge or inside edge. There's that changeup. And the count 3-1. It's a fastball, middle out. He had a good hack.
You get that fastball on the inner third of the plate and up.
On a 3-1 count, that's a cookie.
That was to say, David, pretty lucky to get away with that one.
On a 0-2 count, it's a strikeout. Too much time? No. Out gamesmanship him there.
Your local Ford stores are proud to present the 2005 World Series Reunion Weekend, July 17th through the 19th. Be sure to arrive early on Saturday, July 18th, and see your favorite players from the 2005 World Series Championship Parade around the field. It's presented by your local Ford stores. Together, we'll go further. Purchase tickets today by visiting whitesox.com/promos.
Here's Emilio Bonifacio. Takes a breaking ball strike. He's hitting 162. No homers, driven in 3. Yeah, when Gordon struck out, we were talking about right-handers trying to make some adjustments on David Price. Now, you don't make adjustments to beat him. You make adjustments to be dangerous against him. Because if he is hitting his spots, I don't care what kind of adjustments you make, you're 0 for 4.
No, he's going to be the most prized free agent on the market. They would love to sign him here in Detroit. They figure, however, after looking at some of the recent contracts, i.e. Max Scherzer, that David Price is going to get a bundle because he's durable, he's a winning pitcher, and his stuff stays constant. You don't see
he's
any
40
drop
games
off.
over 500.
Yeah, I mean, you don't see any drop off in the stuff.
Three straight strikeouts, 2 down.
Major league career 93 and 53, which is unbelievable. His ERA 3.14. This is start number 197. And opponents hitting lifetime against him 234, which is very good.
And yet he's just 5-5 lifetime against us.
And our boys have handled him pretty well.
So here is Adam, grounded out to Iglesias, the shortstop. Drops that hook on him. First pitch for a strike.
That's something he didn't do a lot of until this year. He's discovered that first ball curveball, guys really don't want to swing at it.
And the count 0-2. Yeah, there's some pitchers you can, before the game, you can figure out, how can I beat this guy? But you get those good ones out there, you just got to try to figure out how you can be dangerous against them. That's all you want. 4 good at bats, 4 dangerous at bats. Or let me reframe that. 3 to 4 at bats, because you're probably not going to see him for that 4th one.
Not with the fact that he very rarely completes a game. That's been the trend since he's come into the league. The same thing.
Well, he's got a ton, as comparatively speaking, to the rest of it. He's at 16th start, this is, and he's got 3 complete games in his first 15.
Yeah, that's good. In this day and age, that's real good.
Yeah. Pokes that one into left field. Cespedes is there. So that is 7 in a row retired by David Price.
On this day, 8 years ago, Big Frank Thomas reached the 500 home run plateau with a shot off Twins pitcher Carlos Silva, and that was at the Metrodome. The Hall of Famer finished his career with 521 home runs. His last was against Armando Galarraga of these Detroit Tigers here at Comerica Park. And that's our fourth drive of the game.
No score, bottom of the third inning. It'll be McCann, Iglesias, then back to the top of the order with Anthony Gose. Just one hit in the ball game. That was an infield single off the bat of Avi Garcia. Chopper up the middle, hit the bag. At second, carried right over to the shortstop, but he had no play. Tigers have had one base runner. That was a walk to Cabrera. Jacks it up. McCann at 248, a couple of homers, 14 knocked in. Just turned 25 years old.
This becomes a pretty big at bat in that you got Iglesias up next, who doesn't strike out and can bunt. Then you move to the top with Gose and Kinsler, so you want to make sure you get the leadoff man.
That's foul immediately by Mark Ripperger.
He had to go up in the air to make sure that he avoided the baseball, and fortunately that one on the left side of the line, which is the right side for us, the wrong side for the Tigers.
Well, very close call, but the play was right in front of him. That's the reason it's not reviewable. Outfield, just about straight away. Small gap out there in right center. 2-2 the count. Sox will conclude this game, this series. Head on over to St. Louis to face those red-hot Cardinals.
St. Louis is playing tonight. You want to go over and catch 3 or 4, 5, 6 innings, something like that?
No, I'll watch and listen to Mike Shannon.
This is what it looks like in the Central, with St. Louis really pouring it on. Their best start in a decade, 50-24. Pittsburgh 8 back. The Cubs 10.5 back, and then Cincinnati, Milwaukee thinking about who they're going to trade.
Slowly hit. One out. So here's a tough out. This guy, the more you see him, the more you realize just what an outstanding talent he is. He is some kind of player. He's hitting .329 with a homer, 11 knocked in, 4 for 8 in this series. And he makes some plays out there at short that are just off the charts.
I love the fact that he can throw it from any position he catches the ball, and when he's got some time, he'll do that.
Yeah, he does not have to straighten up and plant.
No, but he's got a strong enough arm to come over the top and throw a rocket to first base.
Yeah, we saw that the other night. 0-2 the count.
Jeff has looked very good in the early going. He got over his first inning woes, just one walk, and left him scoreless.
Two balls, 2 strikes. We can cancel a post-game show. First hit for the Tigers.
He takes this one right back up the middle. It's 95, but it's right down the middle. Iglesias, who hits the ball exactly where it's pitched, did that time again. And now you've got a base stealer, and you got to worry about him because Jeff has a high leg kick at times. He's tried to neutralize that by using more slide steps. But Iglesias has got pretty good speed.
9 for 14 in that category. And he's got a good lead. There he goes. Adams only played to step on the bag for out number 2. He had that base stolen standing up with no throw.
That was what's surprising to me. Good hitters and aware hitters, when they have a good idea the runner's going, it's a 0-0 count. Take a pitch, get him in a scoring position. As it turned out, you cost yourself an out. You got him in a scoring position, but now there's 2 outs in the inning.
Well, if you're Ghost right there, you got to go to the plate. Even though you're a leadoff hitter, you got to go to the plate with the idea I'm just going to take a pitch or two, maybe give him a chance to run.
Fortunately, he didn't, which was a good thing.
Well, here's Kinsler. Dombrowski and I were talking the other night about that three-way trade. That's one of the best three-way trades made recent times, maybe ever. Us getting Ivy, them getting Iglesias, and Boston getting the pitcher they wanted, Peavy. Everybody benefited from that one.
That's the way you love to make trades, because then you can make them all the time. If the team you're trading with has perceived value, that value turns out to be even better than perceived. It actually turns out to be pretty good, as does the guy you got in return.
It's good scouting all the way around. Got him up. He gone. And we're into the 4th. No score.
An official White Sox debit card, only available at your local Wintrust Community Bank. Go to wintrust.com/White Sox to learn more. Wintrust Bank, a member FDIC.
Abreu, Garcia, LaRoche. Protect that. Cabrera. There is that going to that first pitch curveball. Missed with that one. See, he told you last inning or last time we were up. Hitters just don't like to swing at anything spinning on the first pitch.
No, but what they do love is miss with a couple, and then you got to come to them.
Well, you just hit the strike zone with that second when he doubled him up on it. Well, it's more prevalent today than it's ever been. In years past, you get a high breaking ball on first pitch, and guys come out of their shoes to hit it. Not anymore. Not since the quote, let's work the count on this guy. You work the count on David Price, you're going to lose.
There's a few guys you can work the count on. Not one that throws about 70% strikes. And both of these pitchers, by the way, throw as many strikes in their total efforts on a game-by-game basis as anybody in the game. They're both around the plate with just about everything.
And that's fair, right down the line. So it's in the corner. And Abreu. Now the ball gets away, but not. And now he falls down. And Abreu is going to go into third on the double. And the error by Cespedes.
Good way to start off the fourth. And occasionally you have to watch out if you're on the warning track, because it will jump up and bite you. That's pretty much exactly what happened to Cespedes. Having a hard time with this as it shoots by him, and then whoops. Okay, well, he's going to wind up at third.
So here's Avi. He had our other hit with that infield single in the first inning. Now he's got a job to do, and that's get something, don't turn the head of the bat over, and get himself a fly ball. There's that slow curveball.
Well, what Brad Ausmus has decided, at least for the moment, he's going to play the middle infield back. He's going to concede the run to stay out of the big inning. In fact, they're back at third and first also.
Most of the time, if the Tigers stay away from the big inning, they're going to be in good shape. That makes the decision-making process a lot easier. When you got to scratch for runs like we've been scratching, that makes it a little tougher. Especially against good pitching. That will get the job done. That a boy, Avi. So Jose scores, and it's 1-0 Good Guys.
RBI number 28 for Avi. He finally got the pitch he wanted, even though it was thigh high. It was on the inner portion. He was able to hit it hard. And even with the great arm that Cespedes has, it was too deep for him to even think about.
Well, he didn't try to, he got the pitch and didn't try to do too much with it.
Just hit it in the air, get it to the outfield, and get him home.
Yeah, if he turns the head of that bat over, he might will hit a one-hop rocket right to Castellanos. As Melky just goes foul. Melky went out to center field.
Beautiful ballpark here at Comerica Park in downtown Detroit. And the fans certainly appreciate their Tigers. They've been coming out in big numbers this year.
Well, one of the great franchises in all of baseball. They're averaging 32,766. Gap in left center. One out, 1-2 the count. That's the curveball. Just missed, backdooring it.
Time for that outside corner. That one just stayed out there. Good call by Jeff Kellogg.
Slider. That at 91.
Tigers originally got David Price, acquired from Tampa Bay in exchange for Willie Adams, Austin Jackson, and Drew Smiley. Drew Smiley has been hurt a good portion of the time he's been with the Tampa Bay team, and Price continues to roll right along.
Yeah, that happened while we were playing him.
Yep.
That ball is yanked foul. Austin Jackson had to leave the game.
To be informed that you will no longer be able to wear this uniform, but good news is you will be wearing a uniform.
Payoff pitch. That ball hit high and deep. He just looks up. You can put it on the board. Yes, way back. And it is 2-0 Sox.
It's only the 8th home run that David Price has given up this year. Doesn't walk too many people, doesn't give up too many home runs, but that was a no-doubter.
And that makes Abreu's run an earned run. So here is Adam.
That was a cutter that he didn't get in near as far as he would have liked. Melky liked it though.
Yeah, that ball just a couple rows from going back on the walkway.
I like the fact that Cespedes gave it that token turnaround and then just, you know, just, what else can you do? That one is a good 40 rows back.
We know some guys have been climbing up that wall.
Yeah, we've seen it this year a couple times.
There's the strike. And of course, with that home run by Cabrera, the Alex Nellius family, another donation to White Sox charities in loving memory of Ursula. That's just off the corner.
She got the home run ball, and then unfortunately she dropped it. And Mom is trying to say, look, we'll get you another one. Don't worry. You will have a baseball. It's one of life's great disappointments. But I'm sure the family will remedy that.
Now, if we could get her to come up here to the booth, I'd give her one. I just happen to have one in my bag.
Well, here it is. Home run ball. And it rattles around for a bit. And then just drifts away.
Good rip right there.
That one, Price finally leaned back and got what he can get, which was 97. She's trying to assuage her feelings with cotton candy. Can't beat it.
Did not check it up. Two down.
Check out the White Sox baseball blog at WGNTV.com, sponsored by Jeff Vukovich, your local nationwide insurance agent serving the area for 37 years. To join the nation, visit jeffvuk.com because Nationwide is on your side.
That young lady's look on her face, I've had that many times after strikeout.
Yeah, but they didn't take your bat away.
No.
There you go.
It felt like they had, though.
They took her ball away.
Alexei. That look that Torrey Hunter had the other day. That was priceless.
With that swing that hit him?
That was priceless.
That was one of the great reactions we've seen all year.
Jim Angio's birthday today. Our Hall of Fame director got that. Look at this. Right off the money. Right on the money. I tell you, he is fun to watch, that young man. But the long home run by Cabrera, the sacrifice fly by Garcia. It is 2-0 Good Guys.
Our Mazda replay is a slick play at shortstop by Jose Iglesias. Now, he doesn't really slide into catching the baseball. He just does it to stop himself and then go to first base, where he gets it over there with plenty to spare. What hands?
Well, you brought the point yesterday, or not yesterday, day before yesterday, in the opening game. He throws them where he catches it.
Yep.
Right there was a good example.
Well, he knew he had all kinds of time because the ball was hit hard, and he knows he's very accurate from down there, which a lot of shortstops can't say. Yeah, he's a dandy.
Well, there's only, in my opinion, there's only one other shortstop in the American League that Dave Dombrowski would even entertain an idea of maybe trading him for. And there's a high chopper right over the top. So Cabrera.
I would think if you're talking about the same guy that just came into this league,
that's him.
I would say that Dave Dombrowski would make that trade in a heartbeat.
I don't know. He might entertain the idea. He might entertain the idea, but he knows what he's got with this kid.
Yeah, but that guy that we're talking about, Carlos Correa.
Yep, that's the only other shortstop in this league he didn't even think about.
One of the best looking young players to come in the league in quite some time. And he keeps hitting the ball out of the park, so he's got big power to go with everything else he's got.
Yeah, he's made a lot of home runs in that ballpark.
Yes, he is.
Here's Victor. He went out to left field. Outfield for the most part straight up. 2-3-0 for us, 0-1-1 for them. We have stranded one, they have stranded two. Outfield just slightly to the right. Small gap in left center. We mentioned, if you're just tuning in, we're going to play this ball game, board our charter, head on down to St. Louis. The game's on Tuesday and Wednesday night. Those Cardinals, boy, they can pitch. In fact, that pitching and defense that they're throwing at you, when the St. Louis offense scores at least 2 runs in a game, the team record this year is 49-12.
Well, you look at the staff ERA, and it's something in the 2.6s, I believe. I mean, for a whole staff, and we're talking about knocking at the door of the halfway point of the season. That's pretty remarkable.
Yeah, it is. That's outside full count to the 36-year-old veteran.
Cespedes in the on-deck circle, wanting to make up for a very awkward play in left field.
High pop-up. Relax, they call it.
Sox fans, join us on Saturday, July 4th at 1:10 as our White Sox take on the Orioles. First 20,000 fans will receive a Bobby Jenks World Series moment bobblehead. It's presented by Comcast Sportsnet. For tickets, call 866-SOX-GAME or visit whitesox.com/promos.
And that's going to be a good one because 2005, Shingo Takatsu, Dustin Hermanson, the first 2 closers we had, and then Dustin got hurt after picking up a quick 34 saves. Bobby Jenks comes on, a rookie, and he'll always have a place in all White Sox fans' hearts for the job he did.
It's almost inconceivable that a guy could step right into the middle of a pennant race late with no experience whatsoever in that particular role in the major leagues and do the job that Bobby Jenks did that year.
Well,
and
you
for
had
a few years after.
You had to have a general manager and a manager with stones enough to do that, to make that move, to make that call. And Kenny certainly's got him, and Ozzie as well. That ball hit, that's a can of corn. And a nice inning. 1-2-3, and he leads it 2-0.
He might be today's White Sox fan of the game. White Sox fan of the game photo is brought to you by Beggar's Pizza, now with 22 locations. Visit beggarspizza.com. Beggar's Pizza, they lay it on thick.
Good guys on top, 2-0. Lower third of our order, Beckham, Soto, and Bonifacio, which all three struck out in their previous and first at bats. Checks it up, takes first pitch strike. Well, we had an excellent umpired game by Alan Porter in Thursday's game. We had an excellent umpired game Friday's game by Mark Ripperger, and we're getting another one this afternoon. Jeff Kellogg.
Always helps an umpire when both pitchers are consistently around the plate, as both of these guys are.
Well, this is just a blue play special for an umpire with these two. That ball high into left field. Just did miss it, taking it back right in front of the Miller Lite sign. One out. So here's Gio. Now 2 for 8 against Price for that first at bat strikeout. Chopper. 3 Hopper. 2 down. So here's Emilio. Ghost moves over towards J.D. Martinez and right. There's a huge gap in left center. Now Cespedes moves over a few steps to his left. Little tardy. That one at 94. Yeah, the great Ted Williams always said the better the pitcher, the more the plate you got to concede. You can't cover the plate on a good major league pitcher.
Well, not with the assortment that David Price has.
Not today's assortment. They have a couple more pitches today that they didn't have back in Ted's era. But I get the feeling that he and Stan Musial would have found ways to go ahead and be pretty good hitters in today's game.
I think any of the great hitters in the history of this game could change eras and still adjust and hit.
Well, you're missing the right word, the correct word. Adjust. Adjust. As he gets Bonnie for the second time. Halfway home, we lead it 2-0. Sacrifice fly by Garcia. Home run, a long home run by Melky Cabrera.
Jeff has been sailing right along. Just the base hit by Iglesias. That's it.
JD Martinez struck out on a high fastball. Outfield slightly to the right. Bunched for the hot hitting Martinez. Homer in the first game, homer in the second game, homer in the game prior to our first game, 9 in the last 12.
Jeff's got a pretty good breaking slider today. That really sets up all of his other pitches.
He's got depth on it.
Yeah, he does.
When he's got depth on it, he gone. He's good. When he stays on top, when he gets around it, spirals.
After a hard slider, he throws a straight change. That ball just kept moving down and in, and for the second time, Martinez down on strike swinging.
Castellanos hit the first pitch he saw, a little soft ground ball to Bonifacio at second. And be sure to stay tuned. Next inning, we got a little surprise for you. And the count 2-0. Castellanos 4 for 8 in the series, 1 for 10 lifetime of Samardzija. That ball hit high and deep into right field. Avi back at the wall, reaches up, makes the catch. Yes. Nice play for Avi.
Castellanos didn't get a whole lot of this, but you don't have to hit it all that hard to get it out in right field. He's measuring it all the way. He puts out his right hand to see when the contact is coming, and then he secures the baseball. Good concentration on the part of Avi. And quickly 2 up 2 down here in the 5th.
So here's McCann. He grounded out to Alexei. And Alexei's going to get him again. Make a good throw, and that'll retire the side. So that is 8 in a row retired by Samardzija.
Deck overlooking left field at U.S. Cellular Field. It's accessible from the 100, 300, and 500 levels. Young Sox fans can learn baseball fundamentals from the Chicago White Sox Training Academy coaches. The space features batting and pitching cages, base running areas, and more skill instruction. It's all from Xfinity, your home for the most live sports.
Top of the 6th inning, top of the order for our guys. It'll be Eaton, Abreu, and Avi Garcia to face David Price. Sox lead at 2-0. There's that first pitch breaking ball, the curveball again that he has used effectively.
Yeah, getting a lot of mileage out of that pitch today to get ahead of the hitters.
Adam is grounded to short and going out to left. And there's a fair ball by Cabrera. So here he goes. Hits the corner. He's going to make the turn. And here's a throw by J.D. Martinez. Is not in time. The leadoff triple by Adam Eaton.
That completes the team cycle. Base hit by Garcia, double by Abreu, home run by Cabrera, and now a triple by Adam Eaton, who takes it right down the line. Cabrera can't get to it, and then Adam, with the play in front of him, is off to the races. When he realized there was some problems, he easily goes into third base.
I love to watch Adam run. I used to love to watch Ray run, Ray Durham. So now they're going to have to bring the infield in to try to protect against the third run. And here's Abreu. He just ripped a double right down the third baseline into the left field corner and scored back in the 4th inning. Got Iglesias back a step or two. It's short.
The run expectancy with a man at third and no outs. The Sox have plated at least one run each and every time it's happened. Detroit pitchers have given up runs 78% of the time, and the league average is 84%. So Sox hitters above average, Detroit pitchers below average. It bodes well for this situation.
Goes through that one, and the count 0-2. Another huge gap out there in left center. Jose trying to get his thoughts together. A little tardy on that one. That one at 96. And a little tardy on that one. And that's going foul, souvenir side. Both our runs coming in the 4th. We have 4 hits, no errors. They have no runs, 1 hit. That by Iglesias in the 3rd. And they have committed 1 error. Watch out. He didn't want to do that. So men on 1st and 3rd, nobody out.
He was trying to go inside. You see where McCann was setting up. He wanted to throw it just about hands high on the inside portion, and he got a piece of it.
So here's Avi. That infield single on the sacrifice fly, picking up his 28th. That pitch a little down and in, and didn't try to do too much with it. Big hack on that one. Take him right back through the middle, Avi. Stay on it and inside of it. Gap in left center. Not going to do anything with those two.
No, it appears his plan is to get him out of the strike zone, and normally you change eye angles. That means a face high fastball. It'll keep the ball out of the dirt, and it's usually very effective.
Just did get a piece of that 96-mile-an-hour fastball. Good job by Avi right there.
McCann wanted a slider, and Price shook to the fastball, and he wanted to throw one face high. Almost got it by him, but nothing doing.
It was the correct pitch.
Yep.
Attaboy, good check. 1-2. You're just tuning in. This is the finale of this rain abbreviated 4-game set. We won the opener on Thursday, 8-7, and a very exciting ball game. And then they won on Friday, 5-4. Rain out yesterday, which is going to be made up on September 21st, a day-night split doubleheader, starting at 1 and 7. 12 and 6 Central. Is that curveball outside? So 2-2 the count.
Melky in the on deck circle. Maybe trying for a follow-up to the home run he hit in the 4th inning.
One of the longer home runs we've seen hit by a right-hander here. Ball's hit hard but foul.
That time, instead of down and in and off the plate, he threw one at the knees on the plate, and Avi was able to get a bat on it.
Nobody out. Eaton at third, and Abreu at first. Want to go inside. He muscles it for the base hit. That a boy, Javi. That's the way to stay inside on it. And it's 3-0. And here comes Cabrera. And let's take a look at that last at bat for Melky.
Melky got one down, took it out, and that made it 2-0 at the time. And this young lady just missed the ball.
Aaron Carr out to ask them if they would like to bring her to the booth, and guess what? Turn around, Alex. This is Alex Kopitz with her mom and dad. we got a baseball for you here. We saw the look on that face. It was just priceless. A little distraught, and you were a little sad, weren't you?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, thanks for coming up, and we're going to give also some tickets when we come back in that September series. All righty.
All right.
All right, Alex Kopitz. Thanks, honey. All right, they have talked to him, and they're going to stay with him. Melky also has gone out to center field, but that was a bomb he hit into left. And that ball, souvenir right side. And our thanks to Mike Leary and Jim Angio for arranging Alex to come up and get her baseball. Just off the corner. Good take right there. And the count 1-1. Don't stop now, boys. Let's put a few more on the board. There's a shot, base hit. Now they're going to have to hold him. So the base is loaded. He did not know if Kinsler was going to make that.
Melky is starting to heat it up from both sides of the plate, and he hits a rocket. Joe McEwing deciding to pull up Jose.
Well, he's going to throw him out because he had to stop.
Yep. And he's got a really good arm.
So a good play by Super Joe. And here is Adam. Sacks packed with Sox. One in, nobody out. Infield in. Takes that curveball inside. That's a big pitch in this sequence right here, this scenario. First pitch. Good rip just underneath it.
There's a chance right here to blow this game wide open, especially the way that Jeff Samardzija is throwing. So career with the bases loaded for Adam has been pretty good. 3 grand slams and a .286 batting average. Plus he has always liked the hitting background here in Detroit. No rhyme, no reason to why that happens, but it does.
Some parks just fit your eye a little better than others.
Yeah, he likes it here. Alex Wilson loosening up, as David Price has been laboring.
Now taking a long time. Took a little something off that breaking ball and had him off balance. So 2-2 the count to Adam.
There you look at the numbers, and they're most unprice-like. He hasn't walked anybody, banned 5, but you don't usually see 3 runs up there before you get through the 6th inning.
Well, as we mentioned earlier, he's just 5-5 against us lifetime. And that's going to get the job done. Abreu is tagging. He will score, and it's a 4-0 ball game. Good job by LaRoche.
A battling at bat turns into run batted in number 31. So the sacrifice fly gets things a little more comfortable here. That's just the second sacrifice fly of the year for Adam.
Here's Alexei. Alexei 1 for 7 in the series. He's due. Good rip. Uh-oh. Can't beat it. They can make it. So the inning continues. 2 down.
This ball hit off the end of the bat, and it got to Iglesias too slowly. It was turned as fast as they could turn it between Iglesias and Kinsler, but Alexei a step too quick, and the inning stays alive.
Here's Gordon. Struck out his first trip, then leading off last inning, he just missed hitting one out of here. High towering fly ball. Taking Cespedes back in front of that Miller Lite sign. There's a chopper 2 hopper. And that'll retire the side, but we do some damage. 2 more across the plate after 5.5. It's 4-0 White Sox. Sixth inning. Then they go back to the top of the order with Anthony Gophs and Kinsler. Ian Kinsler. Iglesias has the only hit for the Tigers. Base hit, solid single back through the middle.
Been pretty remarkable what he's done with the bat. They knew they were getting a premier glove man, one of the best around. They couldn't believe they were getting a guy who can swing the bat like this.
Well, outside of Cabrera, he's the best contact hitter on this ball club.
No doubt. Hey, Chicagoland viewers, it's time for the Subway 6th inning. Text Subway to 97999 right now for your chance to win 6 meals from the Simple 6 menu from Subway. Message and data rates may apply. Subway, eat fresh.
Goes, fakes the bunt, takes the ball. He is lined to center, and he is grounded out to first. Two and 0 the count. Iglesias tougher to strike out.
He's one of the toughest in baseball.
Yeah. There's one, and it's 2-1.
Jeff has done it with a minimum of pitches to this point.
I want to walk this guy, make him hit his way on.
I think we saw early in this one with the one walk in the first inning to Cabrera, and you can understand that. But a lot of these guys have gone up swinging very early in the count, not wanting to face the Samardzija splitter, which has been pretty good.
And there is the walk. He is 11 for 14 in stolen bases.
Now this is one of the things that separates a guy that's bullpen best or maybe setup man or closer from a guy who is going to start in a major league rotation. It's the third time through the order, because there's a lot of good pitchers who get through the order twice, throw them a couple of different pitches, not every pitch each time, but by the time you get the third time through the order, guys have a pretty good idea what you're throwing, and this is the third time through the order.
Kinsler hit a hot shot down the third that Beckham made a good play on. And there's first pitch strike. And he also struck out. That was in the third. He got a pretty good pitch to hit right there and couldn't do anything with it.
He got this cutter, I believe it was, up and away, and it was in the zone. Usually pitches there wind up as line drives to right center field.
Yeah, they all speed pitches.
Yeah.
You know, that's where this game has changed too from years past. First of all, when you get a team like Detroit, as good as they are offensively, you've got to pitch them inside, and you've got to pitch them inside and up. It used to be in years past, even in your time zone, you had to pitch inside on good hitting ball clubs, but you kept it down. Now it's gone up because of the umpiring, and because there is a line drive, and that's a base hit. That walk is going to wind up on third. And a good job by Avi. Wow. To hold him to a single.
Well, that's surprising because Kinsler has got good speed. And Avi got to the ball quickly and got it back in. Keeps the double play in order, which is a good thing. But Kinsler just reaches out, seemingly hitting a double into the right field corner. Avi sprinting over, getting the ball back in quickly. And he's still got a chance to turn two. Only the second hit of this ball game against Samardzija.
And here is Cabrera, a walk and a grounder to third. Yeah, the better the hitting team, the more inside you have to pitch. You pitch these guys down out over the plate, and they will absolutely kill you.
Especially this particular guy at bat.
That's a broken bat. And look at the arm coming in, and Ghost with all that speed doesn't even think about it on that short fly ball to right field.
And it wasn't only the short fly ball to right field that stopped Ghost, but because Avi got it back so quickly with so much on it, Kinsler, who thought about going to second base because the play was not going to be cut off, he had to go back to first. So we'll take a look. Ghost is tagging up. Now he knows it's shallow, so that's a bluff. Normally on a play like that, Kinsler would be off to the races at second, but not when the ball gets into the infield that quickly and that accurately.
So now 2 out, and here's Victor, who's gone out to left and popped up to short. High and wide. Just off the plate, close, and the count 2-0.
And there's the happy young lady who's got the souvenir. On a day at the ballpark she'll never forget.
High in the center, and Jeff is going to pitch out of it as Melky will make that play, and that'll retire the side. So they threaten, they cannot score, and it's still 4-0 good guys.
Plate Club or Magellan Scout Seats. These two premium seating areas are the best way to entertain your most important clients, employees, friends, or family. For more information, call 312-674-1000 or visit whitesox.com/premium seating. Let's take a look at the last 3 starts of the overwhelming Max Scherzer. 3-0, .69 in 26 innings, giving up just only 6 hits. Walked once, struck out 33. The numbers are staggering. 16 consecutive hitless innings over the last 3 starts, finally broken up by the Philadelphia Phillies. They broke up the perfect game in the 6th inning with 1 out. Last time Max Scherzer took the hill.
I think they're going to make a pitching change here. Price is nowhere to be seen. Now somebody's coming out of the Tiger bullpen. So indeed it will be. So Price will go 6 innings, giving up 4 runs, 6 hits. Alex Wilson comes on, and we'll be back.
This one at 1-2. ERA 169 on for the 26th time. Opponent's hitting just .211, so he's been very good with 5 walks and 20 strikeouts.
And here's Gio. Big hack, no contact, and the count 0-1. He's 0 for 2. Emilio Bonifacio on deck, and now Eaton in the hole. There's a base hit into center field. So a good way to start.
Stop by Shy Sox Bar and Grill at U.S. Cellular Field. Shy Sox Bar and Grill offers a full menu from Gibson's Restaurant Group, and it features 70 flat screen HD TVs. It's open 4 hours prior to all home games. Shy Sox Bar and Grill is located at the Gate 5 Plaza.
Here's Bonnie. He's 0 for 2, a couple of punch outs. Castellanos in on the grass at third, outfield. Short swung around to the left. Takes the bunt and takes the ball.
I'd like to send along belated birthday greetings to a 90-year-old Sox fan. Turned 90 yesterday, Nate Poliski. Never misses a game. And I'm sure he's liking what he's seen today.
Happy birthday, Nate. And also, once again, a happy birthday to our Hall of Fame director, Jim Angio, who's 39 and holding.
You know what I think I'll get him? A couple of Hershey bars on the plane.
I was getting ready to say, to be something off the plane, it's free.
I could get him a bag of Fritos also. I mean, I don't have to limit to just Hershey bars. Might get, I'll tell you what,
Cheetos.
A container of grapes would be good.
1-1 pitch. Now.
I think he
bunted at it, I think.
I think he did try to bunt at it and it hit him, which is actually the second time we've seen something like that in the course of about 4 days. He's laying it down. Yikes. That doesn't feel good.
One and two. Huge gap in right center. his bat. And they're going to get Soto at second. One down.
Fortunately, the bat did break. It slowed the baseball down and made it almost impossible to think about two.
Here's Adam, 1 for 3, that triple, and a run scored. Takes a strike right on the inside corner.
Wilson came over from the Red Sox along with Gabe Spire and Yoenis Cespedes in exchange for Rick Porcello. That was last December 2014. And he's been very good out of their bullpen. A bullpen which has really plagued the Tigers.
Well, that's been a good trade for Detroit. Real good trade.
Yes. There's Cespedes, who will be a free agent, but they certainly freed up some capital with Porcello moving over to the Red Sox.
Just did get back in.
We saw the last time that Wilson went to the mound here. He's got very quick feet. He threw in the opener. In that game, it was Simon, Rondon, Hardy, and then Wilson before Soria and Java Chamberlain.
There he goes. Got him. 2 down.
You got to train yourself if you're going to pick low throws out of the dirt and put a tag on. You got to train yourself to keep your glove and go down with the tag as opposed to come up on the short hop. Not a great throw, gets down there, but he's able to pick it, tag him, and no doubt about it.
Well, from what we've seen, there's nothing that young man cannot do with that leather.
Nope. And this year with the bat.
Well, he does have 1 home run.
Almost had another one. Almost hit one the opening game in this series.
I know it did. That sacrifice fly. Count hangs at 1 and 2. I'd say that was pretty good by McCann because Bonifacio got a decent jump right there.
Well, they love McCann and they believe he's going to be their number 1. Alex Avila is going to come back. When he does, he will be their number 1. You're looking at the Tiger catcher of the future. Tom Gorzolani loosening up, and the irony of Gorzolani is that he, along with Zach Duke, came up at the same time with Pittsburgh.
Pops him up. Base just makes it look easy. He's fun to watch. Meanwhile, it's 4-0 good guys. It's the bottom of the 7th inning and a 4-0 Sox lead in the rubber match of this 3-game set. It'll be Cespedes, Martinez, and Castellanos. Samardzija giving up no runs on just 2 hits. Takes that slider low and away.
Carlos Sanchez checks in the game at second base. And Jeff continues to throw the ball well. He did good stuff in the first inning. He's maintained that stuff here into the 7th.
Well, he's back. I don't think there's any question about that. He's been back for a while now.
Well, 4 straight games of at least 7 innings or more, along with what Chris Sale does, and along with what Jose Quintana does. They're really bullpen savers. They'll make sure that his bullpen is healthy, assuming that it comes into play.
That's into center field. Can of corn for Adam.
Here's our Xfinity Speed replay, and it revolves around Jose Iglesias at shortstop. He just turns his back to the infield, pretty much running to the spot, and then makes the over-the-shoulder catch. Not an easy play. The clouds in the sky help a bit, but Iglesias just masterful defensively. The Speed Replay is brought to you by Xfinity, your home for the most live sports.
Adam got room. And quickly 2 down, so J.D. Martinez is retired. Well, Stevie, we've been together a long time now, and you know, biggest thing for me is defense.
Well, right now, that's the best defensive infield we can slap out there.
Yes. Offense puts fannies in seats, and defense wins games and championships.
And it makes sure that you're in a position on a daily basis to bury the team you're playing against when they make the mistake.
Well, that's the whole thing.
Yeah, inevitably they will.
Taking the pressure off you, putting it on them. What we've done the first half of the season virtually is put pressure on us. It's just hard to play catch-up baseball on the major league level. When you're getting 27 outs and they're getting 30, 31.
You better have a lineup that is thunder from 1 through 9 if you're going to do that, and I'm not sure you can do that consistently anyway.
You can't. No, you can't. Pitching's too good today. Al Kaline, the great Al Kaline, Hall of Famer, and I were talking about that on Thursday. How this game today is just tougher than it's ever been. And when Al Kaline says it, as they say, that's for Dad. Reaches out, pokes that one, and that's going to be not playable.
Jeff's had one of those days where he doesn't throw too many pitches down the middle. Now, he's a strike thrower. He's one of the premier strike throwers in the major leagues. He got in trouble earlier in the year by throwing strikes that were too good. Today, the strikes are on one of the corners or the other, or they're up or they're down. Only 83 pitches at 6 2/3 innings with a couple of hits, no runs, only 2 walks, 3 strikeouts, but he's had a lot of these Tigers going up and swinging at pitches early in the count.
Now, the biggest thing for me is the depth on his slider. He's not throwing any spirals up there like he did.
No, when he was struggling, he just had no idea of the release point for the slider. For some reason, he just lost it. It's something that he's had most of the time he's been a pitcher, but sometimes you lose it. No rhyme, no reason to why that happens, and there's also no reason to why it comes back to you, but it has.
Going inside. Nick is grounded to second and fly deep to right field. Taking Avi back up against the fence. Some hard high. Alexei. Good stretch by LaRoche. 1, 2, 3 innings, retired 5 in a row, and he leads it 4-0.
Today, Jeff Samardzija has gone 7, just 2 hits, no runs. Melky Cabrera with a solo home run in the 4th from the right side. And David Price did not have a good day. 6 innings, 6 hits, 4 earned runs. He's a pitcher of record. That's brought to you by the Honda Dream Garage Sales event, now at your Honda dealer.
So here's Abreu. He's 0 for 1 with a double. He was hit by a pitch and he scored twice. So we might have a new 2-hole hitter. Takes a breaking ball strike. I want to take a moment to thank my good friend who's been with me for 31 years. The last 31 years I've been coming into Detroit, Jeff Morrell, our stage manager, for pestering me for 31 years. That's inside.
"31 years he's been here?"
Yeah. We were ducking and diving at the old ballpark in that booth, weren't we, Jeff?
That was the scariest place to broadcast in the world.
It was. We loved it. You know, Whippy used to get up there. He used to have a glove with him all the time, right in the corner, sitting over in the corner. But you could see the spin on the ball, and occasionally on a good curveball, I know you couldn't, but it would sound like you could almost hear it from up there. That's how close it was.
Ernie Harwell had that net that he broadcast through. Looked like a fisherman.
There's a shot foul.
But as the saying goes, you were closer to the hitter from the old press box, the Tiger Stadium, than the pitcher was. And it certainly came back to you faster.
Well, it did. I got hit right in the back of the head on the Carol.
That must have felt good. Did you wear a batting helmet after that?
No. That was fun to do. Got him on a breaking ball. And there is the remnants of Old Tiger Stadium. It was 440 to that where you see the flagpole right there to the fence. You can see where the fence was. It was 440 to there. And what memories that thing brings back.
Not
Wow.
for me, because that overhang in right field. Guy could hit a line drive rocket and not get out of the ballpark. Another guy could hit a towering fly ball where the outfielder was under it, caught in that overhang of the upper deck, both in left and right. But for me, I was concerned with right.
That happened to me 3 or 4 times.
That was
Standing right underneath it and never got there.
And the ball it's a home run. Everybody's running. They're happy.
Yeah.
And you're going, wait, change this part. Go someplace else.
Avi's had a good day. He's 2 for 2 with a sacrifice fly and 2 RBIs. Playing against his former mates, and that will give you a little extra adrenaline.
That's probably most likely why Bruce Chen stayed around so long. He played with 11 teams, so he had a lot of incentive against most of the league.
That's a good point. Good point. I mean, yeah.
He played for everybody.
Yeah. Big hat. 2-2. Yanks that one down past Joe McEwing. I also want to send out a big White Sox hope you're feeling better to Luke Robertson. I understand he's a little bit under the weather. His dad sends that with a lot of love. And another one down past Joe. Anthony goes way over towards J.D. Martinez and right. 39,935. That's high and fairly deep into left field.
Playing fantasy baseball? MLB.tv serves up real-time highlights and pitch tracking info on your out-of-market fantasy players live or on demand on over 400 devices. Blackout and other restrictions apply. Visit MLB.tv for details. So as Tom Gorzolani comes into this game, we're going to step out and be back after these messages. On for the 28th time, all of them out of the bullpen. There you look at the numbers. Opponents batting .330. That's not real good. And Tom has made a decision to alter his delivery. I think his former teammate, Zach Duke, did approximately the same thing when he decided that he had to be a full-time reliever. He started to switch it up, drop down sidearm a lot more, and Gorzelani, who was a starter just like Duke, with the same organization, they came up together. He's now going to be a pensman, and to do that you have to add some deception when that big fastball or really hard breaking slider is not in evidence.
So here's Melky. Melky is 2 for 3 with a 450-foot home run. They measured it at.
That's a blast.
Takes first pitch strike. Just joining us. We scored 2 in the 4th, 2 in the 6th. Just that one home run. Garcia 2 RBIs. And LaRoche the other. To go along with that home run by Cabrera.
That last pitch was a sidearm fastball that he's brought out.
And there's another base hit. So Melky 3 for 4.
Melky over the last week to 10 days has really started to heat it up. This is a breaking ball, not a sharp one. He decided to throw it from the conventional low 3/4 angle. Didn't work very well against Melky.
Well, he got caught up in the virus like a lot of our guys did, and it's a negative virus when they were not hitting. Everything's contagious.
Well, Melky has been too good a hitter for too many years to be able to play like he was playing for very long. And I still contend at the end of this season, regardless of how it works out for other folks, and we never know how it's going to happen the second half of the year, Melky's going to have close to, if not exceed, his lifetime numbers.
He's too good a player. But when you're not hitting, and besides that, he went through a stretch there for about a month and a half that was almost uncanny on how hard he was hitting the ball right at people.
And from the left side, I thought he swung the bat pretty well most of the year. It was the right side that was really difficult for him. And when you're hitting in tough luck, which he was, and he was hitting in tough luck consistently, you look at that batting average every day, and it was as troubling to him, maybe more so than anybody else.
And during that stretch, he was chasing more bad pitches than we've ever seen him chase out of the strike zone. So that'll, guys, we're just trying to do too much. Todd Stevenson's telling him, hey, don't expand your strike zones, take the walks, don't try to do too much. And yet, that's another thing when you go to that plate and you look at that scoreboard and you're trailing by 3 or 4 runs. Two out, 2 balls, 2 strikes. Off day tomorrow and Tuesday and Wednesday nights against the Cardinals. Chris Sale on Tuesday against Lance Lynn. Last time we saw Lance Lynn in St. Louis, he was unhittable. Then on Wednesday, Jose Quintana against to be announced, but at least it won't be Walker. Full count. So Cabrera playing behind Melky. Just did get a piece of that one.
Well, so far, as you can see, Gorzelani is keeping everything away from Adam.
If he can do that without walking guys to the left-handed hitters, he's going to be all right. Could not check it up on the 3-2 bad breaking ball. And we'll go to the bottom of the 8th. McCann to lead it off.
And click on the WGN Sports Game Zone banner for the latest stats and information. The Sox Game Zone is powered by Robert Morris University, Illinois, offering over 55 athletic teams, more than any other university in the state. For more information on RMU, visit robertmorris.edu.
So here's McCann. Iglesias on deck. First ball, Hunting fouls it away. McCann twice has gone out to Alexi. And 0-2 the count at 40,355 on Thursday, at 38,455 on Friday. Rain out yesterday, and 39,935 today.
Very well attended series. Probably wondering why the Tigers have not done better in this ballpark, because when they're good, and they've been very good lately, they've dominated people here at home. Not so this year. It's been a tough place for them to
win. One thing about it too, there's more parity in the Central than there's ever been.
There is that.
That was just a roller, one of the few he's thrown in this game. Hit hard for the single. Just the third hit given up by Samart.
Take a look at the location. That appeared to be either a straight change. I don't think it was a splitter, and it stayed up in the zone.
That was a straight change.
Yeah, taking in a high straight change, and they don't go very well. Not for the pitcher, anyway.
I think there's a rolling coming in there.
There you look at a fan keeping score.
Broken bat.
The oddity with Detroit is that they're right at 500. They lose this one here today, they'll fall under 500 at home. But what's kept them even in this race is the fact that they've dominated the Central. Detroit is 25-14 against the Central Division. They've had their problems with the East. They've had a great deal of problems with the West. They're 4-10. But against the Central, they've dominated.
Just got a piece of that. Well, when you can dominate your division and other teams are beating you, it takes its toll. the other teams, having to play hard and be filled with that pressure.
Kansas City has also done a good job against the Central. They're at 19-12. They got a 4.5 game lead over Minnesota.
Well, Kansas City, their starting pitching is very suspect, and yet they're still winning.
Well, the bullpen's outstanding. The defense is outstanding.
I get the best bullpen in baseball.
And now that they're hitting the ball out of the park occasionally to go with the great speed they have, they become the team with the fewest holes. But that starting rotation has been difficult for them. And the real key is Danny Duffy staying healthy. Because at one point they had 3 of their starters on the disabled list.
Well, Kansas City is going to beat themselves fewer times than anybody in this division. And since there are more games that are lost than are won, that puts them in pretty good stead. How many times have we beaten ourselves this year?
Way too many, which is reflective in the standings.
Pipes that one off. This little guy's hitting .330 and throwing all that leather out there at shortstop. That's pretty good.
That and stealing a few bags without really a great technique for base stealing. But he'll get that. He's still young.
Got nicely by Gio. And he's fought his way to a full count. Making his way on, because this club here can put a crooked number on that board in a hurry.
Jeff has thrown the ball everywhere. In, out, up, down. Still cannot dispatch Iglesias.
Well, he can get a piece of it anywhere.
There you see where he's gone. That's probably the biggest spread we've seen against any hitter today.
Pretty good pitch, didn't get it. And trouble of brewing here at the bottom of the 8th.
10th pitch of the at bat. When you battle that hard, you foul out that many pitches. That one could have gone either way. Probably didn't have the plate, but it was close, and that was pitch number 100 for Jeff.
So here's the leadoff hitter. Goes Kinsler on deck and Cabrera in the hole. He is lined to center, grounded to first, and walked. Slashed into the seats like stone skipping on a pond.
Dick Petrichka getting loosened up in a hurry in the pen.
And there's a base hit back through the middle. So they're going to hold McCann. Adam Quicker gets to it. Bases loaded, nobody out.
This Tiger team, with the offense they have, when you have your chance to put your foot on their neck and dispatch them, you best do it. If not, they're usually still in each and every game. We're getting to the point now where Kinsler, Cabrera, Martinez section of his lineup is coming up, and Don Cooper is walking out.
Well, one close pitch can really put you in a jam.
Close pitch and a couple of contact hitters. And this Tiger team now has rolled over that lineup to the real dangerous part of it.
That one pitch could be a game changer. Kinsler hit a hot shot down to Beckham, who made the play, threw him out. He struck out, and then he singled into right field. That's off the plate.
Pep talk by Don Cooper probably went a little like this. Throws a ground ball. We'll turn two. Don't worry about the run. And get us out of this inning.
He's a good high fastball hitter. He got it and fouled it back.
That hit him.
It's a 4-1 ball game. Base is still loaded, nobody out.
And a very painful RBI number 30 for Kinsler. Wants to go inside with a fastball and butt the back elbow.
Just like Abner designed it.
Don Cooper wanted to know if Petrichka is ready to go.
And here's Cabrera. Walked, grounded to third, and popped up to right field. That one at 95. Came right at him. Right there.
Nothing fancy. Fastball right down the middle.
That one at 96.
Career with the bases loaded, almost unbelievable. 403 with 4 slams.
And the count 1-2.
This one a perfect pitch. He kept it out away from Cabrera, and another fastball goes zipping on by.
Hard high. Hard high. He gone. That one at 94.
Big strikeout. One down. Now you're a double play ground ball away from getting out of the inning as he throws a high fastball. Gio gave him the high target. He got it there and threw it by him. 3 fastballs. Didn't use anything tricky that at bat. And Cabrera has a seat. And Victor can't run real well these days. So ground ball. most likely you're out of the inning.
Well, he's hit it in the air 3 times today. 2 to left field, 1 to Alexei.
Victor's grounded into 8 double plays in 147 at-bats.
That's trouble. That's going to tie this ball game up at 4. One pitch changed the whole ball game.
And unfortunately, you just saw what the presence of Victor Martinez means to this lineup. Even though he was hitting from his weak side, the left side, he drives in runs 23, 4, and 5. And just like that, there's no lead. Jeff Samardzija is going to be taken down. Victor's in scoring position at second base. And his inning has proved very costly.
Well, again, it's just amazing how one pitch can just change the whole ball game. 3-2 to Iglesias.
Yep.
Had a little piece of the plate. Samardzija didn't get the call. It was ball 4. And he departs. We'll be back.
.65. There you look at the numbers. On for the 27th time. Bonus hitting just .225. So he's got to deal with Cespedes and Martinez. With only 1 out here in the 8th inning. A game tied at 4. A very frustrated Jeff Samardzija, who was absolutely brilliant through 7. Had a problem or 2 here in the 8th, and this Tiger team, which is a quick strike offense and has been for a while, jumped on him in a hurry.
Cespedes 0 for 3. He's fouled out to first, gone out to right, and gone out to center. Guys got 22 doubles to go along with those 10 homers and 2 triples. Next first pitch strike right there. 0-2 the count.
And that on the backswing, I think, got a piece of Gio and knocked off his mask. Good splitter, and he took the mask right off his face. Fortunately, it didn't get part of his head, just the front of the mask.
He gone. 2 down.
Another good splitter. This one dives out of the zone, but Cespedes had committed, and he'll have a seat.
So here's a man that's been swinging the hot bat for the last 2 weeks.
You got to pitch to him like first base is open, which it is, and you're not going to give him a hittable pitch. I mean, if you walk him, you walk him, but this guy's a very good low ball hitter. That's the strength of Putnam.
To me, there's no comparison. I mean, you got to put him on.
I would think so, but
you got to put him on. I mean, you got Castellanos on deck, who has not been swinging the bat that well, as opposed to JD, who's got 9 home runs in the last 12 ball games. Go ahead, runs Oriole.
Yep, Gio goes out there.
Pitch. Helped him out with a very, very bad pitch down, well out of the strike zone. Stay right there. Fine. He did not go. 2-1.
Now just stay out of the zone. If you walk him, you walk him. But entice him to get himself out on pitches that are nowhere close to the strike zone.
Like the second one.
Yep.
Fouls that one away. So now 2 balls, 2 strikes, 2 out, 4 runs in. Victor Martinez has just cleared the bases with that double on the second. Take a little something off that splitter and get it down again like the second pitch.
Castellanos waiting in the on deck circle.
Same thing. Same song, second verse. Something off that splitter. Down.
This might get a very anxious JD Martinez, who's been hitting everything in sight over the past 2 weeks, to expand that strike zone, wanting to do it all himself.
Pop up. Playable. And that'll do it. But the bases clearing double by Victor. We'll go to the 9th, tied at 4.
Ninth inning, we're going to take a look at their closer, Joakim Soria. He's 2-0, ERA 2.73, on for the 32nd time. And we did see Soria. In fact, we've seen him in both games, but he had a day off due to the rainout.
First pitch to Alexei is taking ball one.
Now, in the ball game that the Tigers won, Soria gave up a double and a single in the 9th inning and got away without any run scoring.
Call that one a strike. We call it on Iglesias. 2-1. Broken bat. One out, and that'll bring up Gordon Beckham.
He goes after a low pitch and shatters the bat. And an easy play after that.
Gordon has struck out, just missed hitting a home run leading off the 5th inning, and he grounded to second. 0 for 3.
Soria has given up 7 home runs in 30 innings. That's a remarkably high total for anybody, but especially for a guy that's a closer.
The 0-2 pitch. He's got to try to swing at it, and he's lucky to get a piece of it.
Soria will set you up with the hard stuff and then drop in the neighborhood of anywhere from 67 to 71 miles an hour on a very slow curveball.
That curveball is almost like an ephus.
Yeah,
a lollipop.
Caught Jose looking at one in a previous game. That one is just off the outside corner, but Gordon in full protection mode able to spoil it. There was that 71-mile-an-hour curveball, and Gordon was able to reach out and spoil that. Good job of staying alive.
Two down.
He follows a 71 with a little harder, shorter breaking ball. That at 80, and he got him.
So here's Soto. He's 1 for 3. Led off the 7th with a single back through the middle. That is even a little worse than the pitch that he did not call on Iglesias to walk him. So McCann and Soria playing Jeff Kellogg like a fiddle here in the ninth.
That first pitch was clearly off the plate and put Gio in a tough hole.
One pitch can turn the whole game around, and it has. Two-one. All right, zone him in, reel him in, and light him up, Gio. He got it and missed it. Ghost. And we'll go to the bottom of the ninth. It'll be the lower third of their order. Castellanos, McCann, and Iglesias. Castellanos is grounded to second, going out deep to right, and grounded to short. And this is a good matchup for Nick. Sinker ball pitcher with a good splitter, and he's a good low ball hitter. 0-1 to count. Good rip at that one, but to count now 0-2. So Zach well in control of the count. 2-2. Got him. Chased a bad pitch way down and out of the zone. He gone.
He set him up inside and then went away with this one. He did take a little something off. And he hit Castellanos way out in front.
So here's McCann. He started off that 4-run 8th inning with a bullet single to left field on a changeup. Takes a strike that ejects out of Gio's glove.
Bruce Rondon getting loosened up. He's going to come in to pitch the 10th. Assuming that Zach gets out of this one.
To the count. And this ball game is over.
Just the 3rd home run of the year for McCann. The young catcher gets it done.